Hello everyone, I am Monika Bhushan and today we are starting lecture number 6 of differential equation. Okay, so in today's class we are going to learn what is particular integral type 2. Fine. So what actually they have given in the question, that find the solution of the following differential equation. Okay, so as we can see that two differential equations are given, and we have already discussed that finding the solution of these type of differential equations are nothing but finding out the complementary function and particular integral. So since we have discussed these things in detail in last lecture, that means lecture number 5, so I'm just skipping that part. And if you have not seen previous lecture, please watch that so that we'll understand that why I have to find out this PI and CF. And then here in this class, I'll just start with type 2 of particular integral. Okay, so now we know that what is particular integral. Particular integral of differential equation is nothing but right hand side divided by left hand side of the differential equation. That means particular integral is nothing but phi x, right? I'm just writing down this right hand side is nothing but function x, and then left hand side I'm just writing down that something differential operator what is present here. So my complete solution of this differential equation or general solution of this differential equation is nothing but y equals yc plus yp, correct? Yc is what? This is complementary function, and yp I am writing down as particular integral. So yc we will find out by writing down right hand side as 0. That means making the differential equation homogeneous, and then we will find out using 3 steps which also we have discussed. Now we will focus on type 2 of particular integral. Okay, so very first question is how I will understand that this particular integral is type 2 particular integral. And then first thing is recognizing it, and the second step is, now if I understood finally that yes, whatever is given in my differential equation, that this is my type 2 of particular integral, then I'll just start solving it. Okay, since we said that particular integral is nothing but phi x divided by fd, so basically this phi x is nothing but right hand side of differential equation gives us idea that this is going to be particular integral 1, 2, 3 or 4, right? So when my right hand side of differential equation will be sine ax or cos ax, that means trigonometrical functions are present, then that fall under type 2. Okay, so this is very general, right? What is this one? That numerator is sine ax, where a is any constant, and we are writing down in denominator fd square. We will understand that what does it mean. Okay, okay. Now not only sine ax or cos ax will be given in your exam, this is applicable in these type of questions also. That means sine ax is okay, cos ax is also there, but sometimes you will find sine ax plus b or maybe cos ax plus b. So similarly, like how we had seen in type 1, that e raised to ax if present in differential equations right hand side, so this is nothing but type 1, correct? Now what I am saying, that if in differential equations right hand side you will find some trigonometrical function, that means this will be your type 2 of function. Like how we said that e raised to ax as well as e raised to ax plus b will also go. Similarly, here we have sine ax also, and we can have sine ax plus b also, cos ax plus b also. So these variations are also of type 2. Similarly, you can find that right hand side will be given to you as sine ax into cos bx, cos ax into sine bx, or cos ax into cos bx. What does it mean? That means they are trigonometrical functions only, but they are multiplying with each other, right? Sine is multiplied with cos or so on. So these type of questions also fall under particular integral, and the reason that this is nothing but you can actually use the formula of product identity and you can get back the result in addition or subtraction of sine or cos. So if you remember this formula, then it will be okay. You can see this is as the reference slide. So here you can see that this is multiplication of 2 sine, multiplication of 2 cos, or multiplication of sine and cos, and how we are going to rewrite this into addition or subtraction of cos. Right. So this formula we need to actually be 100% handy with, and then if we know, then it is easier. It will be just going to be my sine ax or cos ax form only, right? So sine ax form or sine ax plus b cos ax form or cos ax plus b form, it will be same only. Fine. Suppose we understood that in my type 2 this sine ax cos ax or sine ax plus b cos ax plus b, or multiplication of these sine cosine kind of thing, or even sine square theta can also be there, right? Sine square theta, cos square theta can also be there. So those cases are nothing but variations of my type 2 of pi only. So we will solve the question, it will be more understandable. So what we are going to see here, suppose we understood the very first step is that what is this pi. So if I am 100% sure that this differential equations function says me that we are going to solve by type 2 of pi, then how to get this type 2 of pi, right? So what will be the steps? So the very first step will be the numerator we will just write as it is. We are not going to change anything in the numerator, just like type 1 of pi method. And the denominator, we are actually replacing d square with minus a square. In type 1, what did we do? We replaced d with a, correct? Here we are replacing d square, not d. We are replacing d square with, this doesn't mean that this is minus a whole square, correct? No, this is not this one. This is what? First you have to replace d square with a square, right? A square, and then put the minus sign here. So this is nothing but negative of a square. Okay, fine. So this is what we are doing here. Similarly, for if it is sine or cos, anything is there, we are writing the same way. Fine. But if this will be your 0, that means if you are replacing d square with negative of a square, then you are getting the denominator as 0, divide by 0 error. So we have solution for that also. In that case, what we are going to do? Exactly, we are going to follow the same method what we had followed in type 1. So you find that type 1 and type 2 are not very different. The difference is there that d is going to be replaced with a in type 1. D square is going to be replaced by negative of a square. But if the denominator is 0, okay, if the denominator is 0, so what you are going to do? So in this case, we will be finding out the differentiation of f d square, right? This one, we will be finding out the differentiation of f d square, and then in the numerator we will multiply 1x here. Okay, so that means what you will be doing? So you are going to do f dash d square, and then whatever you are going to get, then that will be your denominator. That means you are going to replace d square again with minus of a square. Suppose in this step also the denominator is coming as 0, then you will keep on doing it. That means again you will be finding out the differentiation in the denominator, and then you are going to multiply one more x in the numerator, just like type 1 only. Okay, so we will solve some question and it will be more easier. Okay, cube minus 1y equals 3 cos 2x. Okay, so we had seen that how to find this complementary function, correct? Complementary function, and then how to find pi we will be seeing today. So complementary function is actually, to find complementary function, we don't bother what is present in the right hand side. The reason is we are going to make the equation as homogeneous equation. Homogeneous equation is what? The right hand side will be 0. So 3 steps we keep on seeing in many classes, right? So very first step is actually given in the question only, like we have given, they have given it into D form only, right? Now, the second step is what? We are going to find auxiliary equation. The third step is what? Based on the nature of the roots of auxiliary equation, we found what is my complementary function. So yc is nothing but complementary function. So first step is done. Now we are going to find out what is my pi. So but don't forget that this you have to keep as it is, and then you are going to add this yc in the final answer, because final answer is not just pi. Final answer is what? Yc plus yp. Fine. So now what I'm going to do, we are going to find what is yp. So yp is what? From this step only you will start finding out yp. Okay, that means this y is, if it is yp, yp will be what? Right hand side divided by left hand side. Yp is 3 cos 2x divided by d cube minus 1. Fine. So that only we have written down here. Okay. Now, so the first step is I need to understand that this yp I'm going to find out using type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and which method, right? So this step is actually there for all types. You have to perform this one. After that, you have to understand whether this yp is falling under type 1. First, always start with type 1. If it is not appropriate for type 1, then then you go to the type 2, and then type 3 and type 4 and all. So since I don't find any exponential function here, so this is not my type 1. Okay, so is it type 2? So I can see that here trigonometrical function is present, 3 cos 2x. I just have to analyze using numerator only. Denominator I don't bother about. So numerator I just understood that this is trigonometrical function. So yes, this is my type 2. So the first step is done, that I understood that this pi is falling under type 2. Now what I have to do? Now to solve it, I need to know that which all steps we have seen. So we have seen that this is nothing but the denominator part. I am going to replace d square, right? D square I am going to replace with negative of a square. And what is my a? A is this one. Whatever is multiplying with your x, that means cos 2x. This 2 is constant, a is constant. So your a is 2. So that same thing we are going to do here, right? What I am going to do here, this is only something which is a very tricky. This is d cube minus 1, what is given in the denominator. And what your rule says, you have to replace d square with minus of a square. So d cube you can write as d into d square. Okay, d cube can be written as d into d square minus 1. Okay, now that doesn't mean that d you will find out using under root minus a square. No, that you don't have to do. You have to only perform d square replacement with minus of a square. So this is nothing but you can say that this d square, this d is as it is here, right? And this a and this d square is nothing but minus 2 square. Minus 2 square is what? Minus of 4. Okay, so this is this much minus 1, or you can say that minus d minus 1. Sorry, minus 4d minus 1. Correct? Minus 4d minus 1. And if you will see this same thing we are seeing here also, right? The numerator is 3 cos 2x and the denominator is minus 4d minus 1. Okay, so what I have to do with d? So in last class also we had said that when you will understand that you got the solution, when your this numerator denominator completely they are free with d, they are free with derivatives, then you will understand that your job is done. But after performing this substitution, you got to know that okay, one d is still there and I have to remove this d. Okay, I have to do some work so that it will be free of derivative. Then this will be your solution. So how to solve this type of question? Okay, so what I'm going to do here, so this I need to know, I will be very comfortable if I'll find out d square. Okay, because if d square I'll get, I'll just replace with negative of a square. Here d is there. So what I can do here, this is what is written here, minus just taken out common. So it is what? 4d plus 1. Correct? I can write minus common and this is nothing but 4d plus 1. And how to get this d square? We know that formula is a minus b into a plus b gives me how much? A square minus B square. Right, this formula will be very useful in type 2. Whenever you will find the first step is you just try with this formula. A minus B into A plus B will be A square minus B square, because 1 will be your D. Okay, 1, if 1 is D, D is 1D, 4D, whatever, but D term is there, then you can find this D square. And D square, if you are getting it, will be very easy to replace with minus of A square. So same thing we are doing here. So this is minus 4D plus 1. And then what I am doing, this is A plus B. I am multiplying with A minus B. This negative taken out. This is A plus B. I am multiplying with 4D minus 1. So if I am multiplying the denominator with A minus B, so similarly I have to multiply the numerator also. Then it will, you can think that it is getting cancelled, right? Both are same. Both steps are same. So that only we are doing. So this is nothing but multiplying 4D minus 1 numerator and denominator. So the denominator is what? Minus taken out. This is A square minus B square. So 16D square minus 1. Correct? A square minus B square. And then D square will be minus of A square. It will be okay. Fine. Now what about the numerator? What we are performing here? So if you will see this step in the numerator, we can write down this 3 taken out, and then I am writing down 4D cos 2x. Okay, 4D cos 2x, and then the second term is what? Minus cos 2x, right? Because minus 1 is also there. So then what I am doing, this is minus cos 2x, correct? So this bracket actually I just opened, and then what I am doing here, right? So this is 4D cos 2x minus cos 2x, or 3 as it is outside, and then this is what? 4 I just taken outside, and this is D cos 2x. What is D cos 2x? D is what? We have seen that D is nothing but D by dx, correct? This is derivative, this is D by dx. So D by dx of cos 2x. So D is D by dx, and D by dx of cos 2x will give you how much? This is nothing but minus sine 2x, and then 2x will be D by dx of 2x will give you how much? 2. So this is minus 2 into sine 2x. So into minus 2 into sine 2x, correct? Sine 2x. So this term is done. That means you are free with D. You have just done the work on D. Minus, as it is, I am just writing down cos 2x. Okay. So what does it mean? This is 3 just taken outside only, and this is minus 8 sine 2x minus cos 2x, and the same thing is present here also. Okay. Now what I am going to do here? Still I have to do some work, that I can see that 2 terms are there, right? I am going to rewrite this function in 2 terms. Okay. So the 2 terms will be what? So what I am going to write down here? 3. Now also this is common. What I am going to write down here? Minus 8 sine 2x divided by 16, minus is also there, 16d square minus 1. Okay, minus cos 2x divided by minus 16d square minus 1. Or what I'll do, this minus I will just take out, and this I'll keep it as plus. That is okay, correct? Okay, so now what we are going to do, since 2 terms I just separated out, and I see that both terms are type 2 only. Always you have to check, okay? So that doesn't mean that it can't come under type 1 or type 3 or something. So if you will find out this term, so this term is nothing but type 2. Why? Because the numerator is sine x. So this is my type 2. So in type 2, what is the method? D square will be replaced with minus a square. A is 2. So this minus minus will get cancelled. This is nothing but 8 sine 2x divided by, this is 16 into negative of 4. Correct? So minus, and this is your 4. This is minus 1. Similarly, what is happening here? This is again type 2. Why this is type 2? Because the numerator is again some trigonometrical function. So you will write down the numerator as it is, and then 16 into d square will be replaced with minus a square. That means minus 2 square, that is minus 4, and then minus 1. Okay. So what I am going to do here? 3 is here, and then it will be minus 65. Okay. So minus 65. Fine. So what will be finally you will get? So finally you are going to get this much. Okay, so this is only your yp. So complete solution is what? Yc already we have found, yp just now we have got. And how I'll find out that okay, this is my solution? Because you can't find any d here. You have made the complete yp free of derivative. So this is your final yp. And then final y, final solution, complete solution or general solution is what? Yc, whatever we have got, and then plus yp. This question is d square plus 4y equals sine square x. Okay, so what my first job is, I understood that this differential equation will be solved using finding out CF and PI. Okay, now the very first step is what? I have to find out the CF, and to find CF, what I have to write down? First step is already they have given in the question, only writing down in the D form. And then second step is finding out auxiliary equation, and third step is finding out the yc based on the nature of root of auxiliary equation. So things are done here. So first step is done, that means we found yc. Complete y is what? Yc plus yp. Okay, now I have to find what is yp. So till now I don't know whether this yp will be type 1 or type 2 or type 3 or type 4. So my first job for any type, okay, for any type, my first job is what? If I'm going to find yp, so what I'll write down? So so d square plus 4y is sine square x. So yp will be what? Right hand side divided by left hand side. So it will be your sine square x divided by d square plus 4. Fine. So this step is actually you have to perform in each and every equation whenever you are going to find pi. Now you have to analyze which type of pi this is. Okay, so for that always start with, make your habit to start with type 1. Since we know that we are today doing type 2 only, so always it will come in mind that this is type 2. But suppose any question is going to be present in front of you, so it could be type 3, 4, 1 or 2. So very first is it your type 1? What is type 1? If the numerator will be exponential, okay, so it will be type 1. So no, this is not exponential, this is not type 1. Is it type 2? So in type 2 what is there? So in type 2 the numerator should be any trigonometrical function. So yes, I can see the trigonometrical function sine square x. So this is my type 2, 100% sure. So if I understood that this is my type 2, then I will start how to get this pi. Okay, for that all those rules we will be following out. So very first thing is, it should be actually, if it is your sine ax term or it is your cos ax term, then this is the general form of your second pi. And very first thing is this much you have to see. Second thing is you have to replace d square with negative of a square. So first you find out what is your a, square it out and put the negative sign there. Okay, so this should be the step. Fine. So, but I can see that my question is not sine x, sine square x is there. So sine ax and sine square x are two different things, correct? No. So what I have to do now, if it is sine square x, then I have to convert into sine ax or cos ax. Okay, so I think you know this formula also. What is the formula for that? That sine square, okay, sine square theta is nothing but your 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2, correct? So we have to actually be very much careful with this formula also. And suppose this is sine square. Suppose in the question cos square they have given. So what you will going to do? Cos square theta is 1 plus cos 2 theta divided by 2. So this is the formula what we have to memorize. Okay. So what I am going to see here, the question is sine square theta, sine square x. So instead of writing sine square x, I am going to write 1 minus cos 2x by 2. So you can find here, right? So this is what? This is sine, the numerator you can see here, numerator is what? 1 minus cos 2x by 2. Okay. And then denominator is d square plus 4. So even now also we have not done anything. What we have done? We have just converted this term into compatible to type 2 form. Now what we are going to do? We are going to see that there are two terms in the numerator. So better to split the terms. So how two terms are there? The very first term is 1 divided by 2 d square plus 4. Okay. Second term is what? Minus. Second term is what? cos 2x divided by 2d square plus 4. And why I am splitting it? Because if it will be in the easier form, right? If all those things are simpler form, then it will be easy to perform the calculation. Okay, so now what we have to do here? So very first term, we will be first noticing what is this one. So as I said that, since you understood by looking here only that this is your type 2, doesn't matter that if you are splitting the term, always the both terms or three terms, if you are splitting or four terms, all will be type 2 only. No, this is not the case. Suppose this is two terms you have got, again you start with the start only. That means you start by looking at the first term, analyze that whether this is type 1, always start with type 1 or type 2 or type 3 or type 4. So I can't find right anything here, right? This is what 1 by 2 and then d square plus 4. So what is this term? But always start with type 1. Why? So what does it mean? This is 1. Type 1 is exponential. E raised to ax is my type 1. So I don't find exponential. So how I'll say that this is my type 1? I don't find any trigonometrical. How I'll say this is my type 2 or further type 3, type 4 we have since not done. So we don't know. But always write 1 as exponential function. And how? 1 can be written as e raised to 0x. E raised to 0x will be what? E raised to 0 is what? Anything power 0 is nothing but 1. Correct? No. So that means instead of 1, you can write down this is e raised to 0x and then divided by 2d square plus 4. So if I have written down in this fashion, so what is my next job? So since we have done the previous class, we have done it that we have to replace d with 0, d with a. So this is the numerator will be as it is and the denominator I am replacing d with a. A is 0. So 0 square 0. 0 plus 4, that is 8. So 1 by 8. So we got this is 1 by 8. So P1, that means part 1 of Pi. So this is 1 by 8. Now we will be seeing that how to find P2. And what is P2? This is minus of 1 by 2 into cos 2x by d square plus 4. So always remember that if it is your type 1, replace d with a, that means d to the power 1, a to the power 1. If it is type 2, then replace d square with a square and then put negative sign there. Okay, so we are focusing that how to find P2. Suppose this is my P2 and then whether this is my type 1, type 2, so this is my type 2, fine. If it is type 2 and this form is also okay, this is cos ax, then what I am going to do? Replacing d square with minus a square. So I replace d square with minus 2 square, that is minus 4. Then I find that minus 4 plus 4 is giving me 0. The denominator is 0, right? So we had seen that if denominator is coming as 0, so what I have to do? So I'll go back to the previous step. The denominator was what? It was d square plus 4. And then what I'll do, since this is what? This was your fd, correct? fd was, fd square you can say, was d square plus 4. So what you will find out? You will just write down differentiation of this fd square. So differentiation of this term will be how much? 2 into d. And then plus 4 will give you 0. Differentiation of constant will give you 0. So this is nothing but 2 into d. Okay, so that means what I am writing down here. So this is minus cos 2x divided by 2 into, right. So this completely I have just written down this one like this. And then I have differentiated it. So it is nothing but 2d. Okay, so now this is 2d and don't forget to multiply numerator with x. Okay, so this is nothing but minus x cos 2x divided by 4d. Okay. But now what I have to do? My question says that if this is a trigonometrical function, you have to replace d square with negative of a square. But what about if it is d, right? So here in this case, always remember that we know that d is what? D is d by dx. Okay. But 1 by d is what? This is inverse differential operator. 1 by d is integration. Integration, whatever the integration we are going to say, integration dx with respect to dx. So this much we will always memorize that d is nothing but d by dx and 1 by d is nothing but integration of whatever the term is present, integration with respect to x. Okay, so here what I am going to do, this step what I am going to write down there, write down minus x by 4 like this one, minus 8 by 4, I'm just taking outside. And what I'm going to do? 1 by d of cos 2x. Okay, so this way I can write down. So then what does it mean? This I'm going to write down minus x by 4. 1 by d is nothing but integration of cos 2x. You can write integration of cos 2x dx. So this is minus x by 4. Integration of cos 2x will give you how much? It will give you sine 2x divided by 2. So this is nothing but minus x by 8 and then sine 2x. So minus x by 8 sine 2x. So this way we find if 1 by d is present, we are going to write down as integration of d. Integration with respect to if x is there, it depends actually. So now we see that there is no d present. So this term is free of derivative. So I got this P2 finally also. So my complete solution is YC plus YP. YC we have got maybe this much is my YC. And then this is your P1, this is your P2. So finally your final answer Y is this much. So if you find this class useful, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.